Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode is an interesting episode where I go into a little bit of archives and go into a little bit about translations and scripts and stuff like that that we get. And the example that I'm going to be using is for Double Zeta Gundam. All right, so it is an interesting look at that. So before I begin, I want to remind everyone to go down below, click like, and click subscribe. Help the YouTube algorithm work. It always is very useful if you go down there and if you enjoy the content, do click like on that. That really does help. If you want to support me even further and financially, I also have the Super Thanks button available, as well as the PayPal and Patreon links below to join the subscribers list. I have now produced 2 new episodes of the subscribers, and those are exclusive content that you I just can't post this kind of material on YouTube because obviously it's gonna be heavily blocked. But one of the episodes is about the Game Doctor device. Obviously, can't talk about that on YouTube, so I've added that one there, and I've also managed to find my old files for a Name That Tune competition that I did for Anime Evolution 2006. So again, if you want to try your knowledge at anime music and some, here's some suggestions and that kind of stuff in music, give your a try that. Again, I can't do that on YouTube because, obviously of things like copyright and that kind of stuff that YouTube implies. So do become a subscriber and you get access to all these episodes. The link is below, so you can actually see what the episodes are about and see what you got to see if that's what we work for. Again, I really thank you for your support in that. All right, so check that out. Okay, so in today's episode, I was basically going through my old archives and that kind of stuff, and my old files. Like I used to get an old file folder full of various different things and whatnot. And I was going through that to see, how relevant some of the stuff was. And of course, there's mail and that kind of stuff in there. But one of the things I ran across was an old script. So this is when I was going through this. I found an old paper handwritten script. Okay, now this is for an episode called the Blue Troop, episode 1 for Double Zeta Gundam, which is episode 30. Okay, and the story behind this is that basically I was really interested in Double Zeta Gundam. Okay, for a long time. That's one of those series that first got me started in anime and that kind of stuff, and I was really amazed at the plot and that kind of stuff that there was in the Double Zeta Gundam, more so than even Zeta Gundam even. But I really liked that one. Problem was that my translator Daisuke didn't like it. Things about it. So he was busy doing other stuff. He's responsible for all the translations that I managed to coax him into doing Orange Road. He liked Maison Ikaku. He liked Pat Labor for he usually likes certain characters. There's usually a character that kind of maybe is not so prototypical, maybe not the main character, but he really really likes it. So for example, Maison Ikaku, he really liked Yotsuya, okay, the strange, the tenant from Unit 4. He really liked Goto in Mobusu Pat Labor. Then he went on to do Miracle Girls. Obviously, he really liked the first part of that story in that one there. He did Himi-chan's Ribbon because he thought that the story was really really nice in that one. He continued on to do Red Red Cha Cha. He thought the humor in that one was very, very good. So, these are all things that, we did because of, of his preferences. But whenever I asked him to do, Double Zeta Gundam, he said, nah, it's not my style, whatever. So, eventually, closer to the 2000s, okay, I think it was like about 90, even 1997, 98, I hadn't started doing Double Zeta Gundam yet. But we're getting to a point where most of the stuff that was being put out was getting translated. Daisuke was, he was on the roll doing everything, and I do believe we started doing things like Nurse Angel. John was doing that, and we're going on into a lot of different animes at that point. So at this time, I decided, okay, you know what, I'm gonna farm out the activity of trying to get them translated. So whether or not it was a Japanese translation, and or Chinese translation I got off the VCDs. I was going to try to find someone to do it. Okay, so what inevitably happened was is that I managed to find some people that were willing to do translations. I basically hired them to do translations. I paid about $30-$40 an episode. So basically, episodes are about 22 minutes roughly. So if you cut off the opening and endings, probably a little less than that. And basically, yeah, they could take as long as they wanted. They just they basically write out the script or whatever, and it usually took I would say about on average it usually takes 5 times as long as the number of minutes the actual thing is. So about 100 minutes. Okay. So like so it's a 22-minute episode. It would take approximately about 105 minutes. Okay, so let's say 2 hours to do, right? And so it was a pretty, so at $20 an hour, it was a pretty reasonable price to pay. Especially when you got to watch the anime and kind of just write down on a piece of paper what was sort of going on, and you could probably do it relatively quickly. Using a tape recorder, or even some people use the VCR. So basically, I found a few people that were willing to who were Chinese, Cantonese, who are able to either read the subtitles that were in Cantonese or hear it in Cantonese. Okay, so I got particular versions of the show from Chinatown or from Richmond off of VCDs or whatever I could get my hands on that had what they needed. I do believe this episode was done Japanese version off of a VCD with Chinese subtitles, and then they basically read the Chinese subtitles and then just wrote down what they saw. So they basically did the translation using a VCR. Okay, now you're thinking, well, maybe the Chinese translated it differently. And yes, the names and that kind of stuff usually end up being different. But of course, we have the Japanese audio, and we had all the books and the textbooks and that kind of stuff, which showed all the character names and all the locations and whatnot. So we knew what they're supposed to be. Okay, so as reference material, we had that. We just needed to know, the lines and the filler out that needed to be done. So, what I wanted to do today in this episode is I wanted to basically show you this rough copy written script that's one of my translators wrote out. Okay, so basically they watched the episode on the VCR or on their VCD, maybe using the computer to slow it down or whatever, or to freeze frame it. And then they read the subtitles, and then they just wrote down what all the subtitles were. And hey, they got it pretty. They could probably do it if with a slowing down method or whatever. You could probably do it within an hour, right? An hour and a half, maybe. So getting paid $40 for that is pretty good, especially at that time and day it was done. But again, that was worth it for me because I really, really wanted to know what was going on. I mean, I pretty well much knew what was sort of going on, like the flow and that kind of stuff. And being a Gundam, it's not horribly difficult. But to put it together and to have someone do that for me, it was definitely worth it. So basically, once I got this script down, then I got people to work on it to basically grammar check it, to basically fact check it now, because obviously now we have the flow of the flow of the translation. We just need to make sure all the subjects are correct, make sure who the people are talking about are correct, names are correct, locations are correct, names of the mobile suits themselves are correct, things like that. Because obviously, when the translation is in Chinese, that may turn out different or weird, right? So we got to make sure that names of cities are correct, names of people are correct. Because obviously, when they do the translation into Chinese, that might be different, right? So again, so we get that corrected, and then eventually we ended up making an entire full subtitle of all the Double Z Gundams out there. So that was one of the series that I really wanted to get done. And again, I've already made an episode where I think Double Z Gundam ended up being one of the few fan subs okay, the actual translations, that kind of stuff, got used in some of those Hong Kong knockoff DVDs that actually finally started coming out, in the early 2000s. When that started coming out, it was our translations that ended up on those Hong Kong and Taiwan DVDs that were coming out at that time. So that was kind of interesting that that's the end result of some of the scripts that came out for that. So anyway, so without further delay, let's go and basically we're gonna go and play through the episode with the known translation that's on that. So I was actually surprised to find that all the episodes of Double ZZ Gundam subbed are available on the Internet Archive. For some strange reason, it's there. But hey, sure, all the episodes are there. Why not have a go and look at them? And you can go follow throughout the series for yourself. So I'm going to play through the episode with that. Have the subtitles, their subtitles that I have at the bottom. At the same time, I'm going to run the what the written script is on top, so you can then compare what was written down as to what was eventually translated out. And you can see it's probably not that far off, really. So with a little bit of tidying up of this and that, you can see that the translation is still pretty tight. So I just wanted to just show that this was one of the methods that we did use to get some of the translations done. Just because getting Japanese only translators was a little bit tough at this time. And a little bit hard, so we had to basically use other resources and other things to get around it. And Double ZZ Gundam was one of the examples that we did later in the time to do that particular purpose. All right. So without further delay, let's go and let's do some comparing with this episode. All right. So let's begin.
あれがガルダーヤの町。オイルも手に入ればいいんだけど。
ごときにネオジオンを名乗らせるなどと。ジオンズム大君の教えはデギンザビによって実践され、宇宙世紀65年にジオン公国が誕生する。そして79年には一年戦争が勃発してデギンザビが死ぬが、その意志を、その意志はザクタンカーにザク、それに私を迎えに来た。
これはネオジオンの軍服だ。
なぜこんなところに。
さあな、しかし役に立つかもしれないぞ。
自由都市になんで身分証明書がいるの？
ここは昔のガルダーヤじゃないんだよ。
おかしいわよ。
アフリカ独立運動の連中が動いてんだよ。女スパイなんて一番怖いからな。
そんなの私には関係ないでしょ。
ダメだ。
私はスパイなんかじゃないわよ。
スパイがスパイって言うか。
ここに友達がいるのよ。
ならそいつの名前を言ってみろ。
それは
なんて名前なんだよ。だ
から
ほれ見ろ、手任せ言っちゃって。
あなた、もう遅かったじゃない。身分証明忘れちゃって困ってたの。ごめんなさい。
いい加減にしろ。すみませんねジュネさん、この女。
ジュネ、はっきり言って私たちの関係。
あ
もう覚悟した私。バレたっていいってさ。
マリアンヌ、君が悪いんだ。
ごめんなさい。
このご婦人の身元は私が保証する。お手数をおかけした。
しかし
私も厳しすぎた。ごめんよマリアンヌ。
あなたったら。
ジュネさんのことだから信用したいけど、何人目の女だ？
さあな。
すみません、助かりました。
私もそうだ。芸術の素材になるものを探していた。だから君を助けた。
は？
そう、君だよ。君こそ芸術だ。
ちょっと待って、私を脱がせる気？
ヌードだけが芸術だと？素人が。
でもさ、普通はさ。
私は普通ではない。天才だよ。
やれやれ。
ついてきたまえ。
どこへ？
フランクのいるべきところへだ。
フランク？
この土地の連中が我々ヨーロッパ人を軽蔑して呼ぶ時の言い方だ。
やだ、お風呂に入りたい。もうルーがいなくなって仕事が溜まってんのに、そばでギャーギャー言われたんじゃたまんないわよ。ルーがいなくなったのはビーちゃんのせいだもん。そんなこと分かってます。あんたがルーに変なことするから、こういう子守りまでしなきゃならないのよ。
まるで人を悪者みたいに言うけど、お前だってルーがいなければいいと思ってるくせにさ。
そんなことない。お水。
分かってんだぜエル。俺はお前の代わりにルーを追い出してやったんだぜ。
そんな勝手な理屈。お水じゃないよ。
機械を水で洗うわけないだろうに。やめろこら。
やめなさいプルー。今度こ体がヌルヌルする。
クム、シンタ、早く油の元栓を閉めろ。
何？
元栓だよ、元栓。こんなんじゃアウド村に追いつくまで持たないぞ。これはホースで集めるんだ。洗浄してまた使う。
分かってます。
なんでクリーニングオイルこんなに使うの？
砂漠の砂だ。宇宙の倍いる。
どっかで補給しなくちゃダメだぜ。
この管理はルーがやってたんだよな。
当てつけかよ。
そうじゃないけど、そのことで困ってるのは確かなんだ。
ここ？
さあ、
やっぱりいやらしいことするつもりなんでしょ。
だとしたらどうするね。
私をそこらの女と一緒にしない方がいいと思うけど。
その気の強いところがたまらんね。
やめて。こんなところにエスカレーターが。
この下にはもっと面白いものがある。
面白いもの？
ああ。
艦長、ガルダーヤへ寄りませんか？
しかしこのまま北上したい。遅れているんだ。
補給に寄りましょう。そうすればルーだって追いつくかも。あ、いやでもさ。
ダメ。ジュドは捕まえた。お仕置きしてやる。
エル、プル、どうしてガルダーヤへ行ったらダメなんだ？
だってルーがどうしたの？なんでもないなんでもないよ。
そこにルーがいるんだな。
知らない。
艦長、
ジュド、
油の補給に行ってきます。
ジュド私も。
いいの、土台会を出してくれ。いいよ。
いいんですか艦長。
補給はお前の考えだろ。
遅れるな。分かってる。うわ、何すんの。
私を置いてくつもり？
それでも女なの？
出発。
こんなところに本当に地下の町があるのか。ここが入り口か。ここまでは言われた通りだが、それにしてもなぜ私が奴らの言いなりにならねばいけないのだ。
お前のようなフランクならば手形を見せるだけでガルダーヤの町に入れる。下の町へ行ったら町のコントロール部を探るんだ。いいな。
なぜそんなことを。
我々はアフリカ独立戦線の青の部隊だ。
青の部隊。
今やフランクの町と化しているガルダーヤを取り戻すために戦う部隊だ。その先兵としてお前は下の町に忍び込みコントロール部を探し出す。 それができたらお前がネオジオンだという言葉を信じてやってもいい。
わかったよ。いや、ここで我慢をしなければ私は宇宙に戻らなければいけないのだ。あっ、いてあれはルーじゃないの。
いつも。君は
同じでいいわ。まるで昔の映画みたいね。
どんなに科学が進歩しようと、人間の求めるものは変わらないのさ。ニュータイプになったってね。
そうかしら。
そうとも。人間に必要なのは君のような美しさと、人間同士の愛だ。今の君はそれを欲しがっている。
そうかもね。
そうとも。
あの男め、ルーに何をする気だ。
ルーは長旅で疲れて、食事が終わったらゆっくりと休めるところへ行く。
うわ！この女ったらしが！
やだ！グレミンさん！
お友達なのか？
ジュネさん、言っていい冗談と言っちゃならないことがあります。
ルーさん、それはないでしょう。こんなところで会ったのも神のお導きでしょ。二人の運命なのですよ。
よく言う。
ルーさん、
いい加減になさい。彼女が怯えているではないか。
やってくれたな、この
やめてくれミー、ジュネ！
うわっ、なんて硬い顔だ。
芸術家だからといって舐めてもらっては困るね、若者。
さあルー、私と一緒に来るんだ。
どこ行くの？
You hope you found that really interesting and a little bit of a, kind of a historical reference. That I found this old script, and this gives you an opportunity to again, see basically how we ended up getting some of the translations that we did back in the day. And again, sometimes by using something from a different language, something that some other country has decided, hey, this anime thing is a cool thing. They've translated it into their language, so it's just a matter of just taking that and transposing it into English so that we can use it here in North America. Okay, then you can see, it's not the script is actually kind of tight, so it's not too far removed, as it were. All right, you just gotta have a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of text to make sure that things are in place as needed. A little bit of research material, as it were. And that'll give you the final touches that you need. All right. Again, we'll get into more episodes where I go into our archives and find some really cool things that gives you an indication of just how we had to do things sometimes. All right. So until next time, I will see you again.